So, Avataro Sentai Donbrothers Episode 2. I really like this episode. I'm having a lot of fun watching Donbrothers. I just want to say that. So, in Episode 2 of Donbrothers, we were introduced to InuBrother, so the Black Ranger. We saw a small cameo of the Blue Ranger at the end of the episode, but we also got to see other things such as the avatar changes, the altar being used, and a brand new bad guy in the villain faction, Sonolza, I believe it's pronounced. And this episode was a lot of fun because, like I said, we got to see all these brand new things in the episode, but it also focused on Haruka's search, Oni's sister, to find Taro Moimoi. I'm going to butcher that a few times, I'll just say Taro. But to find Taro, and because once she finds Taro, all will be revealed according to the mystery man in the alternate universe. But this episode was a lot of fun. Like I said earlier, we got to see more of Taro's character being shown up with how he can't lie and he's very cheerful, he's very happy, he helps people out. I like that about the character because he's a lot of fun and he's always got a smile on his face. And one of the running gags they had in this episode for Taro is because he can't lie, he's always honest. He's playing rock, scissors, paper against his co-workers and they're betting on bits and pieces in the bento box to sort of wager on. And because Taro can't lie, he says when he plays rock, paper, scissors or Jajunkin, he says, "Oh, I'm going to go with rock." So they're like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah, I sure am." So they know how to beat him. And then there's also the running gag that he had with his boss, where his boss is this old lady and all the other co-workers are complimenting on her look, saying she doesn't look a day over 40. And whenever she asks Taro, how old does she look? Taro always responds with 68. And this causes her to get taken control over by the main bad guy of the week. But it was a fun running gag because he kept saying 68, and each time she would show up on the screen, she would look younger and younger. And Taro would always say, "Oh, you look 68. So that was a fun little gag over there. But there was other things we got to focus on this episode, such as the backstory of the Pink Ranger of Kiji brother, and we find out what happened to him, where he broke his arm and he sort of got demoted from his job or fired from his job. It's not entirely sure, but he's looked down upon by his co-workers, and you kind of find out why he has so much faith in his wife, but you do get to see their relationship blossom in this episode. Another character that shows up is InuBrother, the Black Ranger. We see that he's wanted by the police. We don't know why, we just know he's wanted, but I'm hoping we find more about that in next week's episode. Now, another thing that's also a big mystery is Variant Kaito, Zenkaiser Black. He does have a little bit of screen time in this episode, and Oni's sister Haruka has taken up a job at the cafe that he works at, because he's the boss there, and they're sort of throwing you off that it's actually Kaito, because we still don't know if it's the Kaito we know, but Haruka says something to Kaito and she says Zenkai non-stop or Zenkai full power, how Kaito would say it back in Zenkaija, and he just looks at her by saying, "What do you want about? What are you talking about? That sounds dumb, that sounds stupid." So they're throwing us off the audience. What Kaito is this? Because we still don't know, because at the end of the episode he's still collecting gears, he's still looking for stuff, so we're not entirely sure what this character's goal is at the end of the episode. But when Kaito did collect the gear, it didn't turn into a normal change alter gear, or it didn't turn into like a Zenkaija gear, it turned into an alter gear, so no doubt about it, that will probably play a role in next week's episode, where we see Momotaro change into the Tokuja alter form. Now, there is the bad guys I want to talk about, because we still don't know nothing about them, but they are a faction of bad guys, they are bad, they are evil, but they seem to be taking out the monsters of the week, much like our heroes do, but they seem to want to kill them, they don't want to save them, so they're like these weird heroes of justice that are doing things that they think is right, and they're slowly forming a team as well, or they probably have their team together already, because it seems like these two characters seem to know each other. But we were introduced to another one, Sonza, who is incredibly tall, and I do like how they handle how tall this character is. I don't know if the actor is a tall Japanese person, but they do some really interesting camera angles for this character to show how he towers over characters like Oni's sister and stuff like that. So that was really cool. Along with the suit, they do some really interesting camera angles with that as well. Speaking of interesting camera angles, let's talk about InuBrother and KijiBrother that were introduced this episode. Well, KijiBrother we saw last week. This episode we got to see more of them in action. But I want to say, for the CGI for these characters, they look sort of a lot more cleaner this time. Certain shots, you'll see some shadows and stuff like that, so they do look a little bit more real in this shot, apart from the big CGI standing out. But for certain angles, like close-ups and over-the-shoulder shots, you do actually get to see suit actors for these characters. So they do have the actual suits made for these characters for certain shots they want to use in the Sentai. So that's really cool to see as well. I believe one of the few live action shots we saw for InuBrother and KijiBrother was the close-up when InuBrother went and put it in the gear to the blaster, and when usually KijiBrother has some shots where he's turning his head, they are someone in the suit, so they are using live action shots for these characters when needed. Okay, let's talk about the avatar form change and the altar. So the altar, we'll start off with the altar. The altar was not what I was expecting. It's very tiny, it's very small, but it moves really fast. So it zips around the place and it's very comedic for how it was used in the battle. And I gotta say, it looks weird, but it also looks really cool. But I understand that this altar form is actually going to be a bigger part when using other altar changes, such as the Tokuja one and stuff like that, from all the toy listings and stuff like that you can find online. So this altar form is part of something even bigger, but I liked it. I thought it looked really cool. I can't wait to see what else it can do. And the avatar changes. So the avatar changes are just like Gokai changes. We saw Pink and Black use them. I'm guessing they use these avatar changes for these characters, so that way they can have some more suit action fights for these characters. And one thing to note is the Pink Ranger still has a skirt on when he morphs, and they do make a joke about it where he's distracted by having a skirt and then he gets knocked out of the form. But I am curious how many times we're going to see the Donbrother Rangers use these avatar gears to change forms. Last week we got to see Don Momotaro change into Zenkaiser last week, and this week we got to see Ryu's soldier gears being used. So I do wonder how many times we're going to see these gears being used throughout the show, and what other Rangers we'll see throughout the run of this series during this year and at the start of next year. So that has my attention as well. But anyway, guys, I feel like I've rambled on enough about Donbrothers episode 2. Overall, I thought it was a really fun episode, and it looks like next week we're getting the entire team together. Blue will be joining the team, Black will fully be joining the team, and not only that, the bad guys will have that lady friend join their team, so that should be interesting as well. But Donbrothers episode 2, I had a lot of fun watching it. Some cool stuff were in this episode, and I can't wait to see where the show is going to go next. So with that said, I'm going to bring this video to a close. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're new, don't forget to turn on notifications and stuff like that. Special thanks to all the members such as Swaggerthorn, Andrew McCoyle, and the Power Bunny, who's a $30 member. If you want to get your name shouted out like these guys over here, hit the join button or become a Patreon supporter for special perks and stuff like that on the channel. With that said, thanks for watching, have a wonderful day or night, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, take care, bye.